It's been a week since Election Day. A week when we got the most votes out of anybody else on the ticket. And that's all due to, I'm going to move this microphone out of the way. I'll like just talk. So we got the most votes out of anybody. And that's due to the people in this room right now. It's due to a lot of other people that couldn't make it. It's due to, this is truly a people's-led movement. This isn't a corporate PAC movement. This isn't a movement that's led by people paid by people up in DC to come down and have other paid volunteers. This is people that are doing this, that are coming out on a Tuesday night, that are going to be out there day and evening for the next 2 weeks, and then out there on Election Day, because they care about our country. Not that they care about having somebody who's in their network, their good old boy network, continue to rake in, continue to just be a congressman. We want somebody who's going to fight. And that's the reason why I'm in the race, is because I am fed up, just like I'm sure everybody in this room, fed up with the status quo. Absolutely fed up with the path, the downward path that it's taking. And that's why we're willing to put in this effort, all of us, into trying to make a change. And so I'm truly honored that so many people are here. I had no idea it would be this many. And the things that we're going to talk about a little bit today about how we can help. Because that's really, I think, even before the first election, people, if you're frustrated, you wonder, what on earth can I do? And you feel a little bit helpless, maybe. You say, I'm just one person. I can have one vote. I can maybe talk to a couple people. I can do a little bit, but I really can't do all that much. But that's absolutely wrong. We can do a lot. I know, I'm certainly not asking anybody to do this. I knocked on over 1,000 doors before Election Day. In the heat, it's hot. In addition to some of the other things I'm doing. I'm not saying that if you don't knock on 1,000 doors, then never talk to me again. I ain't saying nothing like that. But that is the kind of energy, going out knocking on doors, calling people, talking to friends and family. That is what's going to get us over the finish line once more. That I truly was curious. I had no idea what would happen with everything going on over the last week. Before Election Day, I think Mr. Guest was kind of caught unprepared. I think he was just thinking that he was going to keep on gliding in, and so he put in some money in the race, but he didn't put in as much effort, I guess you could say. And well, the knives are out, aren't they? They have definitely woken up. And so I wasn't sure really what the reaction people would have with this new dynamic in the race. But from everything that I've seen, talking to people, even though there are a handful of people that are kind of there saying, maybe we need to think about this again, overwhelmingly what I'm seeing is what's going on right now. Just people that are even more dedicated, even more certain that this is the right way, that we are this close to getting an establishment person out of there and getting a fire. And so now that we've had that taste of victory, we're even hungry. We want more. We want more than we did before. Before, perhaps there may have been some people that thought, well, we like Cassidy more than we like Guest, but Guest's probably going to win. He's been congressman for a while. He's got the backing of the establishment and whatnot, but we just know we can't vote for him. We got to vote for Cassidy, and didn't really maybe expect all that much on Election Day. But then we came in first, and just like I said, it made us hungry, and that's the kind of mindset we have to have. That it's 1 week. It's already been almost half the time from the election day, first election day, to the runoff day. So it's going to be a sprint. It's going to be an absolute sprint, and that doesn't mean 24/7. Don't feed yourself, nothing like that. You still got to take care of yourself, take care of your family, still go to work. But we don't need. It's really not, in the grand scheme of things, 2 weeks is not that much time. It's really not that much time, and if we can resolve, like I know I'm resolved and most people in this room are resolved, that we're gonna push hard.
Yes.
We're gonna push hard because we care about our country so much. And this is our chance to really send a resounding message to the establishment that they cannot continue to have these type of politicians do nothing. Whether it's, I don't want to say to work with the Democrats in ways that are anti our values. I'm not saying you can't compromise, and I'm not saying that you can't work on some things in a bipartisan manner. But working on giving money to Planned Parenthood is not something we ought to be working on
That's
Democrats
right,
on.
that's right.
Working on things like the January 6th Commission aren't things we ought to be working with Democrats on. And so that's the message that we're going to send them again on June 28th. And the way that we get there, it's all of y'all. So I'll talk a little bit about some things. If you hadn't been aware of some of what we had done up to June 7th, and then what we've been working on now, the biggest things that will help us are going to be, one, coming out and voting on June 28th. Or if you're not going to be available to go to the polls, then absentee voting opens up. I don't know, it depends by county, but there's some counties that's open now, I think. I know Madison opens on Thursday. Rankin is open now. I don't know that all 23 counties that we got in the district, but we really need to, if you're not going to be there, then you can go ahead and you can vote early/absentee. But then it's talking to friends and families, the people that will listen to you, that they're not going to, that when you talk to them, you say, hey, Cassidy's the guy to vote for, and here are a couple reasons why, or here are a couple reasons not to vote for Cass. They say, you know what, I believe you, I trust you. Those are the people that you're going to have the most impact on. The next thing that we're going to be working on is if you have the ability or the interest to go knock on doors, that we've got a tool, an app that you can download on your phone, that it tells you what are the doors that we think are most likely that are going to help us out. And so we go around, we knock on those doors. Mr. Guest he's paying people he's paying people to come down from Washington to do that. Well, we've got y'all, and I trust y'all a whole lot more than I trust somebody who's getting paid $5 a door to go try to change people's minds. You believe in what you believe in the message, they're just getting paid to hand things out. They're not going to be able to convince. So I'm not too worried about them, even though you may see them out there. So that's one thing. It's going out and having those personal conversations with people, handing out our literature. We've got a whole bunch of people in the back that have been that are taking some extra literature that we had from June 7th that we weren't able to get out, and we're putting little stickers on it to say June 28th instead of June 7th. We've got some more literature that's coming in that should be in, I think, next week, early next week. So definitely for the push the weekend before Election Day, and then the Monday before. But then handing that out. And then the other big thing we're going to be working on is people to make phone calls. So that's something you can do from a nice air-conditioned room, which is certainly a lot more appealing to, I think, to everybody. And it's something that we're going to get, I don't have the exact details, but Lindsay, would you be able to talk about it a little more? That we're just going to have a list of people that we think either have said that they would vote for me, or we think are going to run, or think are going to vote, and we'll call them up and we'll have scripts. So it's not as if you've got to figure out exactly what to say on your own. We'll give you all guidance on what to say. So call those people. It's going to be, again, that's that person-to-person contact that really people trust more than they trust a radio ad or a TV ad. Even though people will believe that to some degree, they're going to trust you talking to them on the phone, not a robocaller, but somebody from their neighborhood maybe. And then the final thing, or was something else, Nathan, what else for, oh yeah, polls, thank you. Is that on election day, we're not going to be door knocking on election day. What we want, especially Rankin County, Madison County, we're going to want some poll watchers. And that's something that you can be inside. That's where you're inside, so you're in air conditioning, so a little nicer than being outside. But you're going to be inside the poll just to make sure that there's nothing shady going on. And I don't have any reason to believe that there's no indication of anything shady, but we just want to make sure. I'd rather be cautious I'd rather have people in there and be wrong than there have something happen and we don't have anybody there to raise their hand and say, hey, you can't do that. So I don't know exactly how that works, but Lindsay, do you know, are you able to talk to Poll Auction at all, or is there anybody who's
Yeah.
Okay.
We have questions that we're trying to get people signed up, and then we've also got, I know we really got material when we go out there.
Okay, great. So if y'all, they'll pass that out here in just a little bit. And then if you have not talked to anybody, whether it's me, Nathan, Lindsay, Renee, Monica, about getting on our list of people, then please come out and then please let one of us know. And that way we can put you on our contact list so we know what you think we're going to help out with. And then in addition to talking to people about going out and voting, talk to people, see who would want to volunteer, who would be willing to make a phone call, who would be willing to pass out some literature. And if there's somebody who might be a little bit bashful, then have them, or even if it's one of y'all that hasn't done this before, if you want to go and walk around with somebody first time, that's going to be something that, even though ideally we'd be able to get to the point where you're on your own, if you want to be with somebody else, that's okay. That's okay. So you can kind of learn the ropes or listen to them as they're making phone calls, and then we can kind of just like little baby bird push you out on your own eventually before election day. So that is all that I have to talk about, unless I'm missing anything, Nathan.
No. What about signs? A lot of people are asking about signs.
Yeah, signs are going to be coming in at the end of the week, I believe. We got another order of 400. We had 500 originally. We're all out of the big signs. Some of them have been taken down, but that's all right. But the signs will be at the end of the week. And then the other thing is one of the biggest differences in this 3-week race compared to up to June 7th is up to June 7th, we were about even in terms of fundraising, about even in terms of the total amount of money that we had spent. And I put, some of y'all may not know this, but I took out all of my savings and put in the race. I took out some big loans, personal loans, in the race. I'm out of money. So I don't have anything else. I got a little bit more, but like a few hundred bucks basically. And so we've been able to get about $40,000 so far in the past week. But we know the guests has put in hundreds of thousands. And I'm not taking any corporate PAC money. I don't know that any of them would give any money anyway right now, but they're definitely giving to Mr. Guest, whether it's Raytheon, whether it's bankers, whether it's AT&T, all these people, they're happy with giving him money. So he's going to have a big war chest. And if either of you or anybody that you know who's maybe got their own means, if you think that they can donate, then that is what's going to allow us to get back on the airwaves. Because right now it's just guests hammering away on radio and TV and digital. And we're not.
Website to donate?
It's votecassidy.com. That's my website. And then there's little donate tabs all over the website. You can't miss them. Also, we accept checks, and that can be either just given to me with the committee to elect Michael Cassidy. As long as it has my name on it, I'm pretty sure it's okay.
What do you make it out to then?
The committee to elect Michael Cassidy. But if it just says Michael Cassidy campaign, it's, from what I've been told, that's okay. So that we can either get them, either give them to Nathan or send them by mail. We've got a PO box on the website as well if you're uncomfortable with checks. But yeah, fundraising is never fun, but that's we only got 2 weeks of fundraising to do, so there you go. So that's what I've got to talk about. Anybody have? Yes, ma'am.
I used to organize a lot of sign waves for Chris McDaniel, and we used to get about 20 people out and catch the traffic going to work and coming home. I know it's hot out there. If you have a yard sign and come stand with us on the busiest corners, getting out there and having having Mr. Cassidy's name in front of everybody, and people pay attention because they know it's hot out there and they know that you're going out of your way to stand for this candidate.
That's a very good point, and that's something that doesn't need to be coordinated with anybody. That's another big thing is that please don't wait on one of us to reach out and tell you, hey, we need you here at this point. What we need is initiative. We need personal initiative from which I know that you obviously have it because you're here. You've proven it by just merely showing up. But don't wait for one of us to go to say, hey, please go knock on doors, or hey, please go hand out literature. We'll be putting out that message, but please self-motivate just like you are to get here. Yes, sir.
We had a one vote parade.
Hey, there you go. I saw it. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
As far as the sign goes, I've seen the city of Brandon come through with a truck and pull up signs like that in the back of their truck. Now, it wasn't political signs. So I called my alderman, he lived down the street, and he checked on it. He said that the signs need to be about 14 feet back from the curb. And
Okay.
if they do, if the sign is missing, he also told me they throw them in the back in Kansas City Hall.
Okay, yeah, I saw one on election. I was working at City Hall and I saw a guy drive by in a truck, and at first I thought it was Spike, but it was a city guy. And I
Yeah.
forgot about that until right now because I
Yeah.
thought, well, whatever, it's election day, like can't do anything about it now. But I
Right.
just remembered that.
But you
yes,
can
so
go
that's
back
something
and pick it
so
up,
if
you can pick them up at City Hall.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Monica?
I just got a text asking if you had received any endorsements yet. Someone's trying to get you some big money, and they
Oh,
want to
yeah,
know
so
if you
the
had
two
any.
endorsements we've got are from Republicans for National Renewal and from Bull Moose Victory, which are both conservative groups. They are national groups. One of the things that's very unfortunate and something that I want to change should I be elected is that almost nobody who is an incumbent will endorse anybody against anybody who's running against an incumbent. So it doesn't really matter. They have to be. And I've seen a couple of people endorse against people who voted for impeachment of Trump. I've seen a couple of people do that, but other than that, and even in that case, most people won't endorse a challenger to somebody who voted for both impeachments of Trump. And that's just something that, I mean, whether people, I'm not going to speak any further on that. It's just, it's disappointing. So those are the endorsements that we have.
Republicans for National Renewal, and what's the second one?
Bull Moose. Bull Moose.
Victory.
Okay.
Sir.
On that, excuse me, I got a sinus in my throat. How many people's ever called Washington at all for a problem? What kind of response? What kind of response you got? As soon as Michael Gash got in, I started hammering him on about 5 or 6 different things. You're gonna run up against people. Turn to him and ask him, have you called Washington? Has he helped you out? He hadn't helped me out for 4 years. And I've had him hang up on me now. I don't know why. You know, but that's when you need to call back. It's kind of like your health insurance, your car insurance. You don't know what you got till you have to call in for it.
I understand you were interviewed by Steve Bannon, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
I did not miss it, and I like Porsche. So can we see that on TV?
I can send you a link.
Is it on our Facebook? Is it a
Yeah.
link on our
Yeah, we
Facebook?
posted
So,
it.
I mean, you might have to go back a few days to Wednesday or Thursday.
The day after the
Yeah.
election.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was posted on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But yes,
I think it was the
it'll be
next day. I
Wednesday.
think it was filmed and then the next
It'll
day.
be posted on Thursday, so you can see it there on our Facebook. Yeah.
Can you tell us about what it costs, like on Gallo or 97, what it costs to run
An ad.
an ad?
Nathan, you know what a consumer talk ad rates are?
Not off the top of my head with Super Talk, but it really varies depending on the station. I mean, it could be anywhere from $9 for 15 seconds to $15 or $20.
I think Gallo, I think Super Talk was like 30s.
Yeah,
something
it's-
like
that one's the big
30s
one.
For a 30-second spot.
Right.
And then maybe like 40s for a 60-second. But that could be off by a little bit. But I know some of the smaller radio stations are like 9, 11, and 13. Like
Right.
I can't remember the name of it, but it would probably be about $30 per 30-second.
You sound good on the radio. That
What about
you
billboards?
sound really good.
And, I'm recording another ad when I get back to radio.
What about billboards? Are they expensive?
They are, and there's like on this time frame we could only do electronic billboards, and that was something that Nathan remembers. I was
Yep.
pretty big thinking about doing, but in terms of a smart strategy, it is not it is not as efficient with our dollars as other money would be. Because that's what I was all about early
Right.
on, is we're gonna have tons of billboards all over the place, and
Billboards.
and then when we did an analysis, I figured out that's not the right way to go, and I think that's kind of a smart thing, that if you realize that you need to do something better, then you change what you're thinking about.
Right.
So that's why we are not doing bills in this lawsuit.
What are your suggestions on countering some of the negative stuff that's been thrown up about you, and where that's coming from?
Sure. So that's coming from the big $48 trillion spending. That came from something that is not my platform. It's coming from something that I've never campaigned on. That was a screenshot of a brainstorming session that I had on my website for people to give me some feedback on. That is one of the biggest regrets of the campaign, is that instead of talking to people in private about things that, hey, how am I going to develop my policy views, I put it up on the web and that has my name on it. Just like, I don't know if y'all told your kids that be careful what you put on Instagram or on Facebook. Well, if you ever have somebody run for political office, don't just put your random thoughts on your issues page, because that is what, they can with that screenshot, now they can use that and just hammer away. And at this point, like, I can't do, in terms of on the airwaves with him saying that, it's out there.
Yeah.
But if you have time to talk to somebody, then you can explain that it literally has never been a policy platform. It's never been anything I've talked about to anybody. It's not reflected in any other of my extremely conservative stances that you can see on my website.
You had the
it's
pledge
no
you signed.
literature. I've got a pledge that I signed, in fact, back right before I started campaigning, or maybe around the same time that I began the campaign, in mid-March, that the taxpayer protection pledge that said I'm going to oppose any and all efforts to increase tax rates on individuals and businesses. That truly, fiscal conservatism is where I'm at.
And that document's available too. We have it on social media, so you can find his signature on that.
And the other issue, the other thing, the other attack in terms of spending, that was something that was indeed, I did update on the website a week ago, after I got feedback from people about the family plan having some social policies that would help out, that would give money to families and newlyweds. And that was an effort that was not going to raise any taxes. It was going to shuffle money that is currently not family friendly, that does not encourage family formation, to family formation. But again, it was somewhat of a half-baked idea that I hadn't really bounced off anybody. You can look at all my literature. It's not in any piece of literature. You can look at any of the campaign ads that I've had. It's never in any campaign ad. You can ask anybody who went to any event that I went to, and it was never anything we campaigned about. It was the regret, in a way, I guess you could say, that I had, is that I looked at Michael Guest's website and I saw he had no platform, none. You can do it today, and I linked from day one. I have linked to his website on my front page, because I think it helps me when I have Michael Guest next to me, and you can compare him to me. That's one reason I wanted to debate him. That's one reason he has not accepted any debate so far. And I would love to have the ability for him to be right next to me and respond to the attacks that he's had on me. Now, face to face, as opposed to just something over the TV that's backed by his PAC money that I can't really do anything to counter as well a counter when it's just TV ads. So that's why I've been pushing for a debate. And that's why he keeps on rejecting the debate, because he has nothing to stand on. He has no platform, his policy record, his votes, even though a lot of them, certainly, he has voted in line with some Republican positions on many things. They have all been on the easy things. Except, the January 6th commission, which he voted for, that was an easy thing to vote against, but he voted for it. And that is really the source of so many of his woes today, is that he did not have the wisdom to vote against the January 6th commission, which
He said he did. He came out and said, I voted against it.
so when he said so there are two things that the original, so what is happening right now is it's called the committee, and that is run by Benny Thompson. Benny Thompson wrote the first bill, January 6th commission, and that worked into the committee. The first one, yes, voted for it, and it called everybody up there domestic terrorism. It said that it was domestic terror attack in the United States Capitol. It said it 9 times. It's in the bill. I tried to talk to some guest people about it, and they said, well, you can just make up anything on the internet. I said, it's on Congress's website. It's on this is not something that you Photoshop. It's on congress.gov. And I know that there's some things maybe not like to be wary of what the government's saying, but something like a piece of legislation that it's a public record. And you can find it in many places.
We remember.
Yeah, and even Trump said, hey, there are going to be some consequences for these weak and effective Republicans, and this is the consequence. Those are how I would. So then with that social spending, then as people were getting, this was not something that we had campaigned on whatsoever. And then when people said, hey, is this part of your platform? Are you sure about this? And I said, well, let's talk about it. Let's think it through. And I thought it through, and I said, you know what? There are more conservative ways to go about incentivizing family formation, and that's why I landed on making a child tax deduction, which is basically if you pay, let's say you pay $20,000 in income tax and you have a child, now you only pay $10,000. You have 2 children, now you don't pay any. And especially in this economy, that where people's disposable income is getting squeezed out, that given families with children like that, I think that's a good thing that the people with kids should be helped out. And that's something that, again, Mr. Guest, he'll love to throw a spear, but then you ask him, Mr. Guest, what's your plan to help out families? And he'll say, I don't know. And the ground, I flew on Sunday. If you didn't hear, there's a part of the attack on me, it's just a bizarre attack, that I gave the article, the story to Breitbart a month and a half ago, because when I was in the campaign, or a little bit after the campaign, there was an advertisement that the Navy that had a jet in the background that was at a civilian airfield. Everything was legal for the Department of Defense's instruction. It went through, the JAGs ended up looking at it. Everybody said, yeah, it's fine. And then my commanding officer called me on the reserves and he said, hey, just want to let you know that what's going on is that they're unhappy that on your policy page for military, you say that you want to get rid of all of the diversity, inclusion, and equity policies, and that you want to get what I say, that we need to get rid of using race or sex as a consideration for quotas or for promotion. That we need to care about the military. We want a strong military that's focused on lethality and not worried about encroaching leftist values that have also led to so many people good people getting kicked out for not doing the COVID vaccine.
Correct.
And so
Yeah.
that is that kind of leftist creep into all their institutions, whether it's in schools, whether it's the military, that needs to be absolutely reversed. And so I said, I said, I'm not going to change my policy. And then they said, well, we got a problem with that. And I said, well, that's too bad. I'm going to run my campaign, and we'll deal with that. We'll deal with this later. And then a few weeks ago, they said that I could. I started flying again. I was shocked to see. It's really. I'm not going to give Mr. Guest any piece of political advice, but I think that it shows a contrast. You have somebody who, he's got no idea what in the world he's talking about because he never served. I'm not saying like that is a bad thing, but if he's attacking me on something he has no idea about it. And plus, I was standing up as part of my political platform against leftism in the military. And he has said nothing about it. Nothing about people getting kicked out for COVID vaccines, nothing about so much of this, and nothing about, to my knowledge, that he said nothing about the grooming of children in schools. None of this. And so he's happy to sit back and be a congressman and see somebody standing for something and having the Navy go after him, and then he's just going to chuck his spirit. And I find that I think it really shows to the nature of the Guest campaign.